On today's episode of the Devon Messinger Show, we've got number 21 Texas versus Kentucky. Longhorns fans, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. It's greatly appreciated. And check us out at HornSports.com for all the latest in Texas news. Oh boy, JC, was I wrong last weekend in the Texas versus OU matchup. And if people read the staff picks one as well, you might have also been in that same bucket. But we're talking a different week. We're talking a different game. We've got some basic game info here. The game is Saturday, the 18th at 6 p.m. Central Time at Kroger Field in Lexington, Kentucky. Televised on ESPN. Texas most recently was favored by 12.5 points. Now that's quite a big, discrepancy there in the spread. So we're going to see how the Texas offense can manage again and see if they pick up on some of the positive strides that they made last weekend. Now, JC, getting into that scouting report, how are you feeling about Kentucky overall, and any real thoughts about this Wildcat team?
Yeah, I can give a couple of thoughts. Just tell me when it's my turn in the show to go on a boast and a tangent about that Oklahoma
We'll
performance.
open
I will
up the
be
floodgate later, yeah.
ready for the floodgates to open. First thing off the bat, big thing that stands out, 12.5 points. That is actually going to be the largest point spread in terms of just difference in the SEC this week. There is, I believe, 3 other matchups that are going to feature a score of a touchdown or less. SEC, a lot of parity in the league this year. A lot of interesting stuff going on. My big couple notes about Kentucky first off. They are 2-3 this year. Their only 2 wins are both coming from G5 programs, and they are a pretty horrendous 0-3 in conference play. Not that the Longhorns are that much better, sitting at 500. This is your opportunity to get right. There is going to be 3 players that I'm going to make note of that Texas needs to be aware of. And no, one of them is not going to be that quarterback. I can tell you that much. First off is the running back, Seth McGowan. He should be good to return. Stoops announced this week, like the second half last week against Georgia. To
You're
go.
cutting
They were
out a
on
little
bye
bit
this
here,
past week.
JC. I think the Kentucky Army is getting to you. I'm going to be honest. The Big Blue Nation.
Oh, yeah?
You're talking about the
All right, all
running
right.
back, Seth McGowan, a transfer from Oklahoma originally, had some legal trouble, ended up at Kentucky.
Okay.
Before that, I believe New Mexico State. You think he's going to be a big X factor for Kentucky in this game? Not the X factor, but a big impact player. Continue on.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. I mean, he's averaging 5. Can you hear me all right now?
Yep, yep.
He's averaging 5.8 yards a carry on 43 attempts for 249 yards in conference play. The reason I like to point that out is his longest run in conference play is 20 yards in one game. I believe it was against Georgia. He's just a dominant back that chews up yards and he falls forward. If that Texas D line doesn't show up, that's an easy way to put yourself in favorable 2nd and 6, 3rd and 4 situations like that, which I know the Texas the Texas D wants to avoid. Going to the other side of the ball, I'm going to have Devon tag in real quick because it looks like I might be getting shuffled. But I'm going to bring up JQ Hardaway as well as Ty Bryant, and I will pass along to you, Devon.
Okay, well, he's going to continue on in a bit about Kentucky. I'm going to jump in, JC, and you can take on your point later. But I know you didn't want to talk about quarterback. Let's talk about quarterback. You got a redshirt freshman for the Wildcats at the QB position, a big, tall, 6'5" Cutter Boley, who honestly this year has been a bit plus and a bit minus. I know he's a young quarterback, and this is, I believe, his first year really at the helm taking over. He's done okay. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, though. As JC said, their 2 wins are over some not so great opponents. But to be fair to this team as well, they've faced already some tough competition with losses to Ole Miss. Everyone knows how they're doing. And then South Carolina and Georgia. Not 3 opponents I want to face so early in the year. The Longhorns have gotten lucky by not facing them so far. But also, of course, Ohio State and JC. Turns out Florida have quite the chomps to them. But nevertheless, 627 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So not a ton of production so far. Of course, this Texas defense, not the one you really want to face in terms of getting off to the right step for a season. However, this defense has also shown at times that they are susceptible to getting beat deep. Now, I know last weekend against Oklahoma, the secondary played quite well overall. However, you also saw that pass defense, both in the secondary but also just the defensive front, finally getting to the quarterback. And I think that helped the secondary as well, force some early throws, force some premature throws slash decisions. So that's Boley. Seth McGowan, as we were talking about, he's been the guy for Kentucky offensively speaking. He's got a good amount of stats already, 431 yards and 7 touchdowns. I mean, 7 touchdowns in a year, and we've been how many weeks in? That's pretty good. But overall, Kentucky offense, not anything, I hate using the word sexy, JC, but not sexy of a machine they've got here. It's not a well-oiled unit. 121 to 174 receiving yards is the range for their wide receiving targets. And Kendrick Law and then tight end Josh Caddis are the top two within that range. However, it's not great. You got 4 guys within there, but no real breakaway. Now, it's nice to have depth at the position, but I don't know if there's a guy that Texas necessarily fears. And that's quite a difference there. And then also at running back, you have another transfer. Kentucky likes these transfers here. Dante Dowdle. I wanted to look up, see if he was Rico Dowdle's cousin or brother. No findings there. But he's the backup running back. Also adds 247 yards and a touchdown. But this is McGowan's team if you're the Wildcats. JC, while I bought you a little time, where were you leaving off? You're talking about that defense. That's what we're about to pick off here myself.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay, take it away.
I think we picked it back up. We should be good to rock and roll and talk all about that defense. And I'm going to be I'll be focusing mainly on those defensive backs today. First off, just talking about J.Q. Hardaway. He's going to be the second leading tackler on the team. I do want to point that out, though, that 16 of his 31 tackles have come from the South Carolina and UGA game, including UGA, where he was a standout with 11 tackles. I want to say 7 solo. So he is a dominant tackler. He is someone to make note of in the secondary. On the note of the secondary, would be hesitant to attack this guy, Ty Bryant, also tied in second place with 31 tackles on the year. Both INTs actually came off of Ole Miss. I would like to note that I actually did go back and watch them just to make sure they weren't garbage time interceptions. He's a playmaker. He read the ball very well in both those plays. He actually jumps lanes very well. Ty Bryant, one guy I'm keeping a close eye out for. But other than that, I mean, there's nothing really about this Kentucky that scares me. You have a pretty solid secondary, a standout secondary, including, I believe they're getting a sophomore back this week well in the second. But on the D-line, only 4 sacks on the year. They aren't forcing a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And it sounds a little bit like what we said against Florida 2 weeks ago, so I do want to bite my own tongue here and, not manifest anything. But this Kentucky team does struggle getting to the quarterback. So I do expect that Texas offensive line to push them around, just like they did Oklahoma this past weekend. Tell me, Devon, anybody on the defense that stands out to you right now?
Yeah, I'm going to say that Big Blue Nation really getting to you over there, JC. You must be filming from rural Kentucky, and so we apologize. But no, we heard all the points. Defensively, I just got to give him a little bit of a hard time while I can. Alex Safari Jr., the leading tackler for the Wildcats at linebacker. He's got 37 tackles. However, like JC said, defensively, in terms of big names, of course, after the game, we might have a big opinion. But before the game, I would say this hasn't been the greatest group of all time, and I don't think that's an understatement. Jacob talked about the team has really struggled to get to the quarterback. Bringing up the stats, I see JC wrote some down because he was admiring me last time we called, and I told him, big boys write their stats out.
What can I say?
Now the Wildcats, 111th in the nation, 111, not a good stat. 111th in the nation in sacks per game with 1.4. Of course, this Texas offensive line has struggled this year, really in both facets of both the passing and the run games. You saw that in some scenarios in Oklahoma even. Like, for example, Arch Manning escapes a free rusher up the middle from Cole Hudson's man. He does a good job of eluding it, finding Parker Livingstone on the sideline. And I know Arch didn't have great stats, but there are still free runners for him to deal with. And so Kentucky might be a good opportunity for the offensive line to have a bit, not of a bounce back game, because they actually played fairly well given the scenario. Oklahoma, great defensive front. But I think this will be a chance for them to build their confidence even further. And then in the secondary, I wanted to note that this is a bit of a boom or bust defense. They've got 6 interceptions on the year, so that's not terrible, JC. So they've been doing a good job of creating turnovers through the air. However, the scoring defense is 95th in the country. We already talked about 111th in sacks. Passing defense is 110th in the country. Also very much in the lower third of the nation, allowing 248.6 points per game. And then in the rushing defense, 85th in the country, allowing 153.6 yards per game. All that to say, this Kentucky team has not been able to rely on one of their units defensively to really just do their job, quite frankly. And because of that, this is a good opportunity for Texas to show that they're able to put some points on the board via that offensive unit. Now, I know Texas did beat Oklahoma 23-6, but just being transparent, there were still a fair amount of struggles there. We got a punt return touchdown, which I'll be talking about later, but offensively, you want to see more production in the scoring column. JC, any other notes on the scouting report?
We have one guy. He might play, he might not. Nothing to be said yet. I tried to find a little bit of injury history, any sort of background on him. Not too much I could figure out about the guy, as Big Blue Nation gets me for the third time this show with some shoddy Wi-Fi. But I do want to make note on Steven Souls Jr. Actually has not appeared in a game since week 4. But when he was out there, he did force 2 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. Sophomore, he doesn't have a redshirt status. Couldn't find an injury history as well. So I do expect Kentucky to bust out Steven at one point this weekend if he is good to go. And he's just one of those guys that can step in there and make a play. I mean, 2 sacks and 2 forced fumbles as a true sophomore, that's production no matter who you're playing. So definitely that's my one guy to stand out. I will say, nicer than me, you gave the offense some grace. Nothing about this offense in Kentucky frightens me, even going to Lexington. So I do think that this is just a get-right game for Texas, and this is going to be the time to exercise those demons you face against. And now's the perfect time to do it, riding a high. So doing good overall.
Perfect. Now let's move over. You're talking about some of the guys in particular. You got X factors here. I'll take it away just to start. For me, the Texas wide receivers, I think they are the group to watch. Not necessarily the game changers per se. I know that starts at the critical positions in the trenches. However, as I talked about with the offensive line, from the wide receiver perspective, I want to see some more top-end production. You saw moments of guys with great plays, but overall the production was not there. You've at least got Emmett Mosley in the mix now to pair with Parker Livingstone and DeAndre Moore, but also not only the receivers themselves, I want to see a little bit more Jack Endries. JC, I filed a missing man report for Jack Endries weeks ago, and I have not heard back from him, okay? I haven't heard back from anybody. Austin PD doesn't want to help me. Campus Police doesn't want to help me. I've seen 88 on the field, but I'm not sure if that's the same tight end I saw the first couple of weeks. And I'm concerned because he is the safety blanket that Arch needs. I'm not saying he's doing a poor job. He's just being asked to do some different things offensively. But in the passing game, I do want to see some more production out of him. For you, is there any group or person in particular that you're looking forward to seeing against Kentucky?
Yeah, I think the big one right now is going to be who emerges from the running back room. I know that Trey Weissner took a shot at the end of the game on Saturday. Sounds like he's good to go. Sounds like he'll be playing fully. Ideally, you do want to see this Texas offense be efficient. So in an ideal world, we're not seeing much of Trey Weissner starting in halfway through the third quarter this week. Obviously, today is Tuesday, October 14th when we're recording. So Jared Gibson has exited the Texas locker room and will be heading toward the transfer portal. So I'd like to see something come out of James Simon, and I want to see Simon get some touches. And if Baxter's good to go, obviously we have our 1 and our 2 punch fully back. Fully healthy remains to be the question, but with Baxter and with Weissner both getting banged up throughout the year, love to see James Simon get some touches. He's a standout. I'm pretty excited to watch him play. As far as the wide receivers go, I'm willing to give them a little bit of grace. Against Florida, your average depth of target was 20 yards, a little bit too much. Against Oklahoma, working with 4.8. I think Mosley, he's everything I've expected so far. He's everything I wanted him to be. He's an excellent route runner. I like a big game from one of Mosley or Livingston, and I think it's going to happen. We finally got DeAndre Moore right with his touchdown, but I like something from Livingston or Moore this weekend. And yes,
Oh, you're being
I will do
way
that.
too
I'll buy a,
kind.
I'll
you
buy,
might
I'll buy a
you might have a
billboard.
career as a
I'll buy,
diplomat after this game, JC, because
I might,
I don't
I
know
might.
what you've seen from the receivers that you're really liking their play as of late. They've done, I will say, in the like running game, pass block, or not pass block, run blocking on the side. I mean, you're not seeing a lack of fight from these guys, but in their own respective way. I need to see more production, period. And I know Emmett Mosley, when he
I think
came
it's fair.
back, he flashed it. Again, Oklahoma, great defense, so I'm not going to even, you know, laugh about that part. Oklahoma Sooners, great defense, and I think you saw that in large part. You're also talking about the depth of the target. I think that also aids in my point as well. I mean, the Sooners were doing a good job of not allowing anyone to settle offensively. However, this is the week where you got to do it. And JC, I'm going to move over here now to danger level. But before we start talking about danger level, just going to talk a little bit about that Oklahoma game to make sure that we're all caught up on things Sooners. And we will, I swear, transition it to danger level very quickly because we're going quick today. I'm just going to break it down position by position, but rapid fire. Arch Manning, 21 for 27 passing against Oklahoma, 166 yards, one touchdown. I noted he did a great job of escaping and extending plays, which has kind of been the trend for Arch. Again, hasn't had a ton of just protection overall, so that's kind of been a necessity for him, but there are other quarterbacks that would not have been able to move their feet the way he did. I will say against Oklahoma, struggled vertically, and that's something that I want to see if you're, of course, the quarterback at Texas under Sark. But I think part of that is Sark trusting not only Arch's arm, but also his protection. I think he's trying to go for some quick routes to give him options, and I think you saw that given the completion percentage. Yet again, 21 out of 27 of your passes. You can tell efficiency was a real key for them. Running back, Wisner, 94 yards rushing. No touchdown on the day, but he was a hero nevertheless. Dallas Legend came big in the game. And then O-line, they did better. So I'm not going to be totally dismissive, but I don't know if they passed my class just yet, JC. They might get a C+. But, of course, if you're a student in the Devon School of Blocking, I'm expecting an A+ at some point in the semester. And then D-line play, 5 sacks. It's about damn time. Colin Simmons, I didn't talk about you too much in the last video, but I did put you on the thumbnail, which means you took that to heart. Finally came through. I did do a call out for Colin. I will, JC can attest. I did a call out for Colin. Where are you? He appeared. So now if he can find Jack Endries, then we're doing perfect. Then lastly, secondary, 3 interceptions. Great play. Really, the defensive front was in Mateer's head, helped to create some errant throws, got those turnovers accounted for in the secondary, and then special teams. The last guy I called out, I'm a fair guy. I'll say when I'm wrong. I picked Oklahoma wrong. Texas, showed up and showed out. But the guy that I said I need to see more from, Ryan Niblett, I've been very vocal about that. And I was the happiest guy in the room when I saw him take out the punt return because he's been letting too many of these go by, and he goes 75 yards for a touchdown. So great bounce back from the special teams play. But now danger level here, JC. You're going from a team that is your arch rival, higher ranked. You're already in need of a bounce back game just given your performance against Florida. Now on the flip side, now you're sitting on your laurels. You just beat Oklahoma in the Red River game. You're drinking the Kool-Aid. The golden hat looks pretty good in class, and now you're traveling to Kentucky to face the Big Blue Nation in the Wildcats, who are not so hot this year, as you mentioned. I believe 2-3 record. Are you scared at all that there's a bit of a trap game in the making here, or am I just being ludicrous?
Evan, I'm gonna start with saying I do think that you paid somebody to cut my internet today,
Oh, we
simply
can
to
see
not waste
that
the
right
viewers'
now.
times. Yeah. Hey, there we go.
This
With
is
the
twin
45
vision
minute
going on.
tangent.
Yeah,
All
he's
I'm
filming
saying is
guys live
paid
from
somebody to cut my internet.
Lexington, Kentucky. I think that's what's going on. All
Then
right, all
my
right.
rent would disagree.
How do
Yeah,
you
yeah,
feel?
yeah,
Danger
yeah. We're
level.
back. Um, I'm fully back on the wagon. If I'm being honest, there is no Kool-Aid left because I've drank it all, Devon. Um, was the best get right game. That was the most complete performance I've seen from a Texas team. It felt like in a year and 2 years. That was the best third quarter I've seen in 2 years. 25 plays to Oklahoma's 4 plays. 14-yard drive to open the half. I mean, what a second half from the Horns. And that's the kind of game that's going to turn this season around. If Texas can come out and go up 10 early, if they can go up a score early, I feel great about this game, and I do think they will. Yes, it's a night game, but I understand it's the SEC. Kentucky's having a bad year, and they've taken some bad losses, already 2 3-score losses in the SEC that's played this year to this point. I am not worried. Florida, I was fair. I was accurate. I gave it a 6. That was DJ Lagway. That was a swamp. This is, you know, Kentucky, and this is not DJ Lagway. No disrespect to that quarterback. No disrespect to that run game. But I do think that this is Texas' get-right game. This isn't revenge tour, but we said we're treating every game like the SEC championship from here on out. If this is the SEC championship, I expect Texas to put up about 20. I do think they will, and I think Texas is going to walk out of this game with a 27-10 win. Keep clean. I'm at, call it 2.8 on the scale.
Of a danger level. Okay, he's already even teasing the
Yeah,
predictions, so I think Kentucky's fully
yeah,
in his head.
it's good.
But no, I agree. I think I wouldn't say I'm back on the wagon like you are. I maybe got a hand kind of just making sure the wagon doesn't leave me,
Well,
but I'm
pull you
not
up.
on.
Yeah.
I'm not on. Of course, I hope that the Oklahoma game, for the Longhorns' sake, is a sign of things to come. Like you were talking about, that third quarter was just magical. And honestly, in some ways, it might have been legendary because I think when you're watching this game in years to come, Longhorn fans are going to automatically remember after the end of that first half that, oh boy, this is when you got to call in all the family members to watch the TV, because that first half was not beautiful. Second half for Texas, again, that third quarter specifically was about where you want to be. Danger level for me, I want to go with the 4. This team has not been great, being the Wildcats, but you never know. It could be a bit of a trap game. It is in Kentucky. However, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a good amount of burnt orange there, just given that's kind of the common theme in terms of away games. So I think 4, respectable. It's an SEC opponent, but I'm not overly worried about this matchup for Texas. And that's because as we move into predictions here, I'll take it off the bat because JC was already already given his pick, but I'll throw it back to you. I'm nice. Texas 27-10 is my pick. Against Oklahoma, of course, was 23-6, and one of those scores was a special teams play. I'm hoping to see, of course, another stellar performance from that group, but more so offensively. I've got them not cracking 30 points, but that is kind of my, not X factor, but thing to watch against Kentucky. If Texas can crack 30, my confidence level in this offense is going from here to here automatically. I don't care how it gets done. If it's an ugly 30, it's still 30 points. I think they're still not quite comfortable offensively. I got Texas winning 27-10, and even the 10 points for the Wildcats might be tough to come by if Texas can play as they did defensively, particularly looking on that defensive front. Colin Simmons, Ant Hill, and even some guys like Ethan Burke, Colton Vosick, and wait for it, a name to be excited about, Lance Jackson. They're all working their way into the conversation as well. Lance, I think, is going to be a favorite for many Horns fans to come. I think this is a week for Texas to get back in the right ways. 27-10. JC, reiterate your score for those who didn't hear before.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Devon, we just had the same score.
Wow.
We might,
Did we just become brothers?
I think we're both dialed back in. We just became brothers. My last point, this is the show that we need for the Texas O-line. Showed they're capable on Saturday. Let's see you build on. That's all I got to say about that Texas offensive line. But defense shows up, like you said. Those 10 points are going to be hard to come by. I wouldn't be too surprised if we get something different. That 12.5, just go ahead and smash that over this week. That's all I got to.
All right. Well, if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Check us out at HornSports.com for all the latest in news. And as always, I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time.